Stop. Let me have my point. Answer two really simple questions very simply. Where are these asylum seekers going? It's a simple question. And what's your plan to stop them coming here in the first place? That's what people want, James. Where are they going?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Julian Discourse. You know when someone tries to sell you on a massive renovation, but they point blank refuse to tell you where they're actually putting the furniture? That is exactly what the Labour Party is doing with their border policy right now. In this explosive TalkTV clip, watch a Labour MP get grilled 9 separate times over their plan to close asylum hotels, completely panics, and desperately tries to hide the fact that they have no real answers. Hit subscribe and let's watch the political establishment squirm in real time.
You know my job, I know your job, and you're loyal, of course, to your party and to your boss. But let's just let me explain this in layperson's terms, he says, being politically correct. You tell me that your Chancellor wants to renew Britain. At what cost? You came to power talking about an 11 billion black hole, and you promptly gave the same amount to your trade union mates. Well, I've never understood about this government, and by the way, I was as hacked off as the Tories at the end as you were, right? What I've never understood, and you are a fiscal man, it was all about growth. How can you expect an economy to grow when you have made it so very difficult for small and medium-sized businesses with your NI increases and your workers' rights ideals? How do you expect growth to happen? Because this country, in terms of growth, is not only flatlining under Labour, it's going backwards, James Murray. That is a fact.
Well, the fact is that we were the fastest growing economy in the G7 in the first quarter of this year. Now, look, I'm not pretending that we haven't got a lot more to do to get us growing further and faster as a country. But if you look at the decisions that we took last year, you mentioned some of the difficult decisions on tax the Chancellor took at the autumn budget last year around national insurance, for instance. There's a reason why we had to take difficult decisions, and the reason why is because of the black hole that we inherited, because of the fiscal mess that we inherited. You seem to agree that we inherited a fiscal mess from the previous lot. We had to fix that. It would have been irresponsible.
But James. All right, let me pick you up.
And not take definitive action to steady the public finances.
You came out today and you said, I want to talk about these great things. Most people in this country, I think, would feel very strongly that we are in a hole. Let's talk about your boss's vow to end asylum hotels in 4 years. Let me not get a soundbite from you. Let me put you to a question from hundreds of people already that have contacted the show. Where are these asylum seekers going to go over the next 4 years? Why is it taking you 4 years? Where are they going to go? Social housing? Are you going to use old military bases? Where are they going to go? And why is your government not appearing in her way today and saying, this is how we're going to stop them coming in the first place, James Murray? We've heard nothing about that.
Well, you're absolutely right that we want to stop them coming in the first place, and one of the things the Chancellor announced as part of the spending review today is more money for the Border Security Command. So that's £280 million extra for border security to stop those boats coming in the first place by helping with all of our efforts on that front. But for the people who are here, for the asylum seekers who are here in hotels, the fact that so much public money is being spent
Where are
on
they
asylum
going to go,
costs,
James Murray? Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go then?
So what we need to do first is get that backlog down. We need to take those decisions so that people are processed in terms of their applications, so that they have to return if they're rejected, and we have a decision on their case. What is really unacceptable is for so many people to be in hotels, which are particularly expensive.
Where are they going to go, James?
And it really irritates people.
Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go?
The Home Secretary will set out the plan for the next few years and how that will work.
But the Home Secretary just had her budget cut by 2.2% and her hands are tied, James Murray. You know that. The Home Secretary was on resignation watch.
The reason for getting the Home Office budget down is because of the savings we will make in asylum hotel costs. Now, one of the reasons for having a spending review is so that you can set out plans over a few years, because we know with some of the problems that we face, some of the challenges we face as a country, they're not things you can fix overnight. They're not even things you can fix within 12 months. You need a few years to really solve them.
So you can't tell my viewers...
Asylum hotels is a really good example of it.
Let's just cut to the chase.
Can I just make this one? Can I just make this one?
Well,
can I just make this one final point on it, because it's an important one. If you've got a plan over a few years, like we have, we've said we're going to invest up front in transforming.
What is your plan? How are you going to stop the boats? How are you going to... OK, stop. Let me have my point. Answer two really simple questions very simply. Where are these asylum seekers going? It's a simple question. And what's your plan to stop them coming here in the first place? That's what people want, James. Where are they going?
Well, some of them will be sent home if their applications are rejected, and we want to bring down that backlog. That's the first duty, and that's what we've been doing since the election last year. And what we're saying is, for those people who are being processed, they're waiting for a decision to be taken. It is unacceptable to be spending so much money on expensive hotel accommodation.
So where are they going to go for not the some who get deported? What about the not some who are going to still be here or are not going in hotels? It's not a difficult question, James, with respect. Where are these people going?
I said earlier on in our conversation today that there would have to be alternative accommodation for them. But the point with hotels is that hotels are particularly expensive, and it is really, it's really frustrating for everyone as taxpayers to be spending so much money on asylum hotels when there's so many other ways we could be spending money.
I know we haven't got much time. Appreciate your.
What you just witnessed on TalkTV is the exact moment the Labour government's evasive border strategy completely collapsed in real time. When a Treasury Minister is asked a simple, direct question 9 separate times, where are the asylum seekers going? And he completely freezes. You are no longer watching a political debate. You are watching an active cover-up. To understand why this exchange is so devastating, you have to look at the undeniable facts behind Labour's asylum policy. Chancellor Rachel Reeves and the Home Office have loudly promised to shut down every asylum hotel by the end of this Parliament in 2029, desperate to reduce a staggering taxpayer bill that cost over $2.1 billion for hotels alone in the 2024-2025 financial year. But why won't James Murray just tell the public where these people are actually being moved? Because the truth is politically toxic. These undocumented arrivals are not magically disappearing. As recent Home Office actions and independent reports have confirmed, they are being quietly dispersed directly into working-class communities. They are being funneled into private rented housing, packed into houses of multiple occupation, HMOs, and shoved into large-scale sites like the Crowborough military barracks. Do you see the deception here? You cannot clean up a massive mess by simply sweeping it under the rug of the working class. The Labour government is not actually eliminating the burden of the border crisis, they are simply redistributing it. They are taking the problem out of highly visible high street hotels and dumping the physical and financial consequences directly onto local councils, neighbourhood services, and an already utterly broken domestic housing market. The political establishment expects you to quietly absorb the consequences of their open-door reality, all while politicians hide behind procedural jargon and empty soundbites. But the era of polite deflection is over. Thank you for watching Julian Discourse. If you refuse to let the establishment hide their failures in your backyard, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and I'll see you next time.